Welcome to It's Your Money, the financial show that helps businesses and consumers make better financial decisions so you can make more money, save more money, and have more money for all of your financial goals. I'm your host, John Dittrich, and I'll be introducing you to industry experts who can help you make better decisions on things you spend money on every month. We are also broadcasting live on Facebook, so you can watch the show on Facebook.com, Your Money Radio, if you like. You can also comment live and ask questions on Facebook, or you can call us at the studio at 862-9977. Today on It's Your Money, I'll be introducing you to Terry Lammers, author, business person, and certified valuation specialist at Innovative Business Advisors. Other guests this month will be Doctor of Chiropractic Medicine Michael Miller. That's next week, followed by Gary Bingaman with A&D Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning on the 17th. Marilee Doherty of Clarity Insurance will be on the 24th, and independent life insurance agent Diana Haston on the 31st. All of my guests are experts in their fields and have business practices that will save you money on their services and help you make better decisions when you're choosing services in their industry. As for me, I'm a senior investment advisor at Douglas Bagwell and Company, LLC, and a CPA registered in Illinois. I'm bringing these guests to you because I want to help you achieve your financial goals. You see, according to the Government Accountability Office, 52% of households have no retirement savings. And only 13% of people listening to this program right now are comfortable that they have enough money saved to retire on. In fact, only 39% of those already retired feel very confident that they have enough money to last. After years of talking to people like you, I felt I had to come up with a solution. By helping you make better financial decisions every week on this radio program, you will have more money to save for your retirement and for your other financial goals. If you want to look at the government report I just referenced, you can download it from my Facebook page right here on Your Money Radio, or you can later we'll be setting it up on YouTube and on LinkedIn as well. Although my business is made up with people with at least $100,000 to invest, and businesses who want to help their employees by setting up a retirement plan, I'm not above helping people who want to improve their lives and the lives of their family members. Through this radio program, I can talk to people who wouldn't walk into a financial services office, and at the same time, I can reach out to investors who have money to invest but realize that they need to make better choices to reach their retirement goals. It's my goal to grow my business by helping you make better financial decisions. Speaking of today's guests, I think everyone should own their own business. At least one business, that is. Even if it's a small, multi-level marketing business, there are many advantages to owning your own business. First of all, there's the tax breaks. Secondly, by interacting with other people, you're going to get sales training and experience that you can only get by owning and operating your own small business. I think all of these benefits are worthwhile. I love to talk to business owners, help them out with their retirement solutions, and help them with their other business problems. And we're going to take a quick break here. And afterwards, we're going to talk to Terry Lammers about his book. He has a new book. It's called You Don't Know What You Don't Know. Everything you need to know to buy or sell a business. So whether you already own a business, whether you're thinking about buying a business, or just want to look into it, this is going to be a good program for you to listen to. And we're back. All right, great. Here's my guest. There's a new book available on Amazon called You Don't Know What You Don't Know. Everything you need to know to buy or sell a business, written by Terry Lammers, who's a CVA, which is a
Certified Valuation Analyst.
Certified Valuation Analyst. Great. I recently read this book, and it's easy to read, and so congratulations on that. A lot of experts, they write books that only experts can read. And I think you're an expert, right?
I don't know. That might be stretching it.
But you did write a book.
But I did write a book.
That makes you an expert. So, and it's easy to read. I thought it was real easy. I'm not in the industry.
It's interesting. So the book's just now coming out, and getting some first comments about it, and that is one of the comments that I get. That it's an easy read. It's very practical. I have humor in it. I make fun of myself, things I did right, things I didn't do right. So I'll try and keep.
I didn't finish my introduction yet, Terry. So
sorry.
you're not supposed to talk yet.
I thought you brought me on to talk.
Just kidding. Just kidding. So anyway, so I contacted Terry after reading the book, and he agreed. He's coming all the way from Illinois.
Highland,
Illinois, just to be on this program. You didn't have
famous John.
With me, the famous John Dittrich.
That's right.
Well, I have a friend who's the famous. That's his nick, his name. But anyway, so I think it's great. That's a long drive just to be on the program, and I appreciate you coming out. It's a good book, and I recommend you get it. You can get it through, again, at Facebook, Your Money. There's a link on one of the stories to go directly to his book on Amazon. Or
go to Amazon Books and type in Terry Lammers, and it should pop up.
Or the third option that you guys are going to love is you can call 862-9977 and get yourself a free copy right now. So just go ahead and call. If you want to talk to Terry, by the way, ask him any questions during the program. That's the number to call. So, Terry, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm just a kid from a small town, Pierron, Illinois. Town of 600 people. It's about 30 miles east of St. Louis. Live between Highland and Pierron right now. Grew up with a family business. It was a wholesale fuel and lubricants business. So we sold gasoline and diesel fuel, lubricants to farmers, excavators, trucking companies, municipalities, stuff like that. We had 2,000, 4,000 gallon trucks. Grew up in the business, worked outside of the business for a while, came back to work with my mom and dad in 1991. And I tell people kind of jokingly that in 1991, when I came back, it was my mom and dad and myself. We had 2 trucks, and it was a good day if they both started. So we didn't start with much. But I kind of took the company over in early 1992, had the opportunity to buy another company that was gentleman was retiring, so that was my first acquisition. I had the opportunity to buy 11 other companies in the next 18 years and grew the company from the first year I was back, $750,000 a year in sales to over $42 million a year in sales when I sold it in 2010. From there, my wife told me I had to get a job, so I went back, did some banking for about 3.5 years as a commercial banker. Kind of got my entrepreneurial spirit back, and in 2014 started Innovative Business Advisors. So we help people buy and sell companies. I am a CVA, Certified Valuation Analyst, so do business valuations, and we also do some consulting and coaching using the Value Builder system.
Okay, well, I'm a little off topic because I know we talked about what we're going to talk about, but I always like to surprise people. No, I'm just kidding. But what was that business valuation plan you're talking about?
Value Builder System.
Builder System. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So as a coach, after we've looked at this for about a year, and it's a 1 year. It's set up to be a 1 year coaching program to take a company through to really build value in that company. As a valuation analyst, I can value the cash flow of a business, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's sellable. So by taking them through the Value Builder System and the key 8 value drivers there, it'll make the business much more sellable and should help increase the value of it. You can go to our website at www.innovativeba.com, and there's a Value Builder question, and you can take a free Value Builder questionnaire off of that, which will come back to me, and I can get with you and go over the results.
So anyone who owns a business, they can use this program to increase the value of their business if they plan to sell it. And how far before they plan on selling their business should they come to you?
What I really like about the Value Builder System is I strongly believe any business should go through it. It doesn't matter if you're going to sell your business in a year, if you don't want to sell it right now, in a year to 3 years, or it's 10 years until you want to sell your business. It will help you build value in your business. And if it is 10 years, at least as you're growing your business over time, you will learn how to build value in that business. What's going to make that business sellable when you're ready to come to a financial advisor like John and reap the benefits of growing that business.
That's the best part.
That is the best part.
When you get to sell it and get that at the retirement nest egg. I talked to in my old businesses that I've been in. I talked to a lot of business owners and ask them about investing. They're like, "I'm investing in my business." Well, if you're investing in your business, the best thing to do is sell it for a huge profit.
You're exactly right. And I run into a lot of people that regrettably think their business is worth a lot of money, but they haven't taken the time to build their team. And I talk about that at length in the book. Build your team of advisors. So there's chapters in the book on bankers, attorneys, CPAs, financial advisors. Making yourself bankable. It's all stuff I cover in the book, and it's very important.
Yeah, my dad used to tell me. He ran his own business for a long time, and he always said, to run a business, you have to be a doctor and a lawyer and an accountant. You have to be well, you don't have to be all those yourself. You just have to hire the professionals around you to advise you. Because nobody can know everything.
You don't know what you don't know, right?
You don't know what you don't know. That's exactly right. Until you hire an expert
book about that,
or at least somebody should write a book about that subject. So, getting back on script a little bit. So, speaking about your book, this is your first book?
This is my first book.
So, how do you write a book, and what are some of the challenges you faced?
I am a financial guy, kind of like you. So I didn't do very well at English in school, too many exceptions. But I talked to a guy, he's like, all you really need to do is get 8 chapters and write it out, and you can publish it on your own, blah, blah, blah. So I started writing a book, and it didn't take me long. I got into it. It's like, I have no idea what I'm talking about.
How long did it take you to figure out you didn't know what you were doing?
About an afternoon. So through the miracle of Google, I found a book coach. Her name is Nancy Erickson. She calls herself the book professor. She's from St. Louis, and she coaches people in writing books all across the United States. She basically lays it out it took about a year and a half to get it done. We laid it out in 3 sections. The first 12 weeks or 16 weeks with her, you're laying the chapters out and what you're going to talk about in them. Then the second part she calls getting it out, so you're actually writing the book. It's about halfway through this that you're really questioning why you did this. And then the third part is polish and perfect, which is really painful because you're reading the book about 10 times, and she tells you by the time you're done writing it, you'll pretty much be sick of reading it. And I'm happy that I did it. Once you're done, it is quite an experience. It's rewarding. It was always a bucket list thing. So one thing that's in the book is there's discussion points after each chapter, and that was the last thing I did was write the discussion points, and I kind of thought it was going to be an option because by this time you're done writing. But Nancy's like, no, you have to write these discussion points. Right. So I sat down, and after each chapter, there's 4 or 5 questions, about to discuss what's in that chapter. And it was when I was writing those discussion points that it's like, you know what? If somebody reads this book, they're going to learn something from it, and it should be a good resource. And like you said, it is an easy read. It takes me like 3 hours to read it, 3.5 hours, so it's not, that long.
Well, like I said, I read it, and I agree, and I've owned several businesses. I own 3 right now, and I agree that if you own a business, you should at least read this book. And if the valuation system that you have, what kind of business? What kind of business would that be advantageous for?
Really, if you own a business and you're planning on it for your retirement, it's a good idea to have your business valued several years before you sell it. There's a story in the book. I talk about. I had a guy call me, mid-60s, him and his wife ran a small business. And,
I know the story.
And, he said, I don't need to talk to a business broker, but I'd just like to run a couple of things by you. And they came into my office. I told them to bring some tax returns. And, they throw them on my desk, and you're expecting an answer about as fast as you can check out at Walmart, But I asked them, do you have any ad backs? And they're like, well, what's an ad back? Well, ad backs are you're adding back income to your cash flow from your expenses that the company paid for that are personal expenses. He looks at his wife and says, Mom takes care of the books and everything's as slick as a whistle, I'm like, okay. So I looked at it and I said, well, I would say the business is worth $250,000. And he looked up at the ceiling and she looked outside, and all of a sudden I seen a tear rolling down her cheek. And I said, okay, hold on, time out. That's not the answer that she was expecting. He told me, he said, well, I have sales of over $1 million, so I thought for sure that this company is easily worth over $1 million. And it's just not the way it works. The value of a business is all about the cash flow. So we had about an hour conversation, and at the end of the day, there was some ad backs, about $60,000 worth of stuff that the company was paying for. That's personal expenses, and the company probably had value of $500,000. But here's a person in their mid-60s who wants to retire in the next year and thought they was going to retire with $1 million, and the company's probably only worth $500,000, and nobody's talked to them about taxes or anything like that.
Right. By the way, some of those ad backs are things you probably shouldn't be doing as a business owner. I don't know many businesses.
I don't ask questions. That process is called normalizing your financial statements. You want to get to the true cash flow that's coming out of that business,
Right.
And personal expenses, rents, stuff like that aside.
Yeah. So let's get back to your business. You have an impressive story. Taking a, what did you say, $750,000 business to
$42 million.
$42 million. That's pretty good. I think there's a lot of people right here in Springfield who would love to do that.
It's a process.
How did you do it?
We primarily grew our business through acquisitions. Buying an existing company is a great way to start out if it's your first business, or like with my oil company. We had 2 trucks, and a gentleman wanted to retire. That was in 1992. Bought the first company, and then we had another acquisition in 95, and then one in 96. So, what's great as you're acquiring other companies, like companies, some people would call that a strategic acquisition. You get the opportunity to cross-sell products that maybe the company that you're buying didn't offer their customers, or maybe the company that you're buying will add a product to your distribution that you don't have for your current customers. So now you can cross-sell to your current customers. So it's a great way to grow your business, and we was very fortunate to be able to do what we did.
How did you even decide which businesses to buy?
We stuck to the current, fuel and lubricants businesses. So those were the ones that we was looking for. And after a while, through our insurance agent or other people, you kind of do your networking and get it out there that you're interested in growing. People started coming to us, or I would identify a business that maybe I knew the owner and knew he was getting close to retirement age, and I called it planting a seed. I'd just, call them up and tell them, and it's as simple as that, just to say, hey, if you're ever interested in doing something, give me a call. You would be surprised. I mean, that at first may seem really awkward, but at the end of the day, everybody's in the same shoes. We're all going to retire, whether we go out boots up or what, So plant that seed with somebody that you might be interested in buying their company.
So don't be afraid to talk to your competitors.
No, don't be afraid.
You may want to buy them someday.
Yeah, and mine bought me. So I did use a broker whenever I sold my business. I had somebody value my business. That's kind of where the being a CVA came from. After I was at the bank, and after a while wearing a tie, I was like wearing a noose, and had time to reflect on my life. And what did I enjoy doing? Well, at the end of the day, I enjoyed buying other companies. That was fun, and I had a lady, Betsy Bigsby's with Meridian Associates out of Weatherford, Texas. I worked, did some seminars with her. She does cash flow coaching, brokering, and valuing businesses. So I got a hold of Betsy. She valued my business, and I said, if you can sell it for that, let's sell it. And that's ultimately what we did. And ultimately, it was Girlmark, or FS, who bought my company, and I was their largest competitor in Southern Illinois. As luck would have it, they had just bought a lubricants blending facility in Council Bluffs, Iowa. And they had no bulk oil sales in Southern Illinois, the heart of where I was at. And I had a lubricants packaging facility in Wood River, Illinois, which they solely needed. So by buying me, now they're in the lubricants business with about 750,000 gallons in sales, which is a significant amount. I was probably one of the largest privately held wholesale fuel and lubricants suppliers in Southern Illinois, in the St. Louis metropolitan area at the time.
There were a lot of efficiencies
Yes.
by combining the two businesses.
Absolutely. And I had my own private label brand of lubricants that I trademarked. So, that was a strategic acquisition for them. If they'd have tried, they wanted to grow their bulk oil sales in Southern Illinois, and it would have been a long road to get there, picking up one customer at a time. But by buying my company, they had 750,000 gallons, in one acquisition, and their member companies, the FS member companies. For those of you in Missouri, FS is similar to MFA, Missouri Farmers Association. my fuel side of the business got sold to 8 different FS member companies. So,
Well, I'm just curious what you think about marketing versus buying a business, because I'm thinking sometimes if I'm looking at when I was in a long time ago, I was in the carpet cleaning restoration business, and I'm thinking if I want to grow, there's basically 2 ways I could do it. And I did buy other companies at that time because I needed management real quick and more trucks and things like that as my business expanded. But another way I grew my business was through marketing. And if I'm looking at a business and saying I could buy this business for $300,000, and I looked at their customer base, I said, well, if I spend half that on marketing, maybe I can get just as many customers. So, do you buy a business or do you spend the money on marketing? What are the give and takes there in your opinion?
of course we had marketing and, your traditional marketing website and stuff like that. But the business I was in, customers were fairly loyal to who they currently was. And diesel fuel is called a fungible product. That means everybody's selling the same thing. You may see from a television commercial that brand X has got better gasoline and different additives than the other brand across the street, but at the end of the day, it's basically the same stuff. It all comes out of the same pipeline. Mm-hmm. So you're selling, there's no product differentiation. We're selling the same thing. We're basically selling for about the same price. So if the other competitor is providing good service, which they typically did, and I could go talk to that customer, tell them blue in the face, and they're not going to switch. So if I buy the company, out of you got to keep the customer, but you're picking them up. The other thing I would say about that is I may know a competitor and may know 3 or 4 of who his customers are or where they're at, but there was a lot of circumstances when you buy the whole company, you're getting their whole customer list, and you may not even know where all of these customers are at. I mean, one of the examples I talk about in the book is I bought a company in Wood River, Illinois, and from buying the company, we got a customer, ConocoPhillips. That's a refinery in Wood River. Who would have thought that the refinery buys like 300,000 gallons of product a year? So it would have been hard to get that customer just because, 1, I didn't know they use that much fuel because they make the product, and 2, you wouldn't have even gotten in the gate because you couldn't get through security.
Right. We're going to take a quick break, but before we do, we have a book to give away. And you can call our producer. What's our producer's name?
Gene.
Call Gene at 862-9977 and give him your name and email address, and we'll contact you how to pick up a free copy of You Don't Know What You Don't Know, Everything You Need to Know to Buy or Sell a Business.
Okay.
Probably those phones are ringing off. Well, where we left off, we were talking about buying businesses, right?
An existing business. Right?
And how you grew your business, and we talked about marketing versus buying a business, and I think you addressed that pretty well. I guess it sounded like your answer was your business. It was really easy to make that decision. Do you find that kind of across the board, that it's better to buy a business than it is to gain customers through marketing?
I think there's definitely advantages of buying an existing business. It's all about the price. You got to, if you can purchase it at the right price and it makes sense, getting that existing cash flow is, I think, very advantageous.
Okay. And again, we already gave away some of these books, but if you want to call and get a book, or if you want to call with a question for Terry, you can call 862-9977. That's the local number here. I don't think I need to give out an 800 number since it's a local station, right? But it's 1-800-375-0056. Again, the local number is 862-9977 if you just want to ask Terry some questions. We've got a few more questions to go through, but just wanted to give you the opportunity, if you're listening, to talk to Terry. So, did we cover how did you decide which companies to buy? We talked about that,
I
right?
was, I stuck to fuel and lubricants companies.
That was your business, your specialty.
We didn't stray off to anything else.
Did you push your company?
sold racing fuel for a little bit. You know, it just wasn't a fit with the company, and we let that company go.
Okay. And when you're going to buy a business, how do you decide what a business is worth?
Cash flow. It's all about the cash flow of the business, you know. And oftentimes, if you're going to borrow money, you have to buy it at a price that is a bankable number. You know, will a bank lend you the money to buy the company at the price that's established? But earlier we talked about the gentleman that was in my office and add back. So you need to get to the true cash flow of the company, and oftentimes you're buying the company a multiple of that cash flow. You know, one of the things that was a trigger for me is if I could pay for the company in 3 to 5 years, that was a trigger for me that the price was in an acceptable range. So here's a way to think about that.
Well, you have to pay yourself during those 3 to 5
Correct.
years too, right?
And I think I always did that. Even though I had an existing salary with my company, you know, if I'm going to buy another company, I would, so that you add back, you know, personal things that the company was paying for the seller. But for me, I would put an expense for an additional salary to me. I called it my pain in the butt expense. You know, if I'm going to own this company, I might as well pay myself a little bit more. So,
Right.
so from there, if I could pay for the company in 3 to 5 years, we was getting into an acceptable range. So if you think about it, if I'm paying for the company in 3 years, I'm looking for a 33% return
Right.
on that business. About 4 years would be 25, 5 years would be 20. So if you take, and that's a cash flow amount, you know, or a price that you're interested in, divide it by 20 or 33%, that'll get you a number of our value of that business. So, and you're going to find that a lot of companies sell in that range of 3 to 5 years.
I mean, that's a very good return on investment, and I'm sure a lot of people would like to earn 20, 30% on their money. Of course, there's risks involved.
Absolutely, you know, there's risk in owning a small business. But if you think about it, there's a method in valuation. It's called the build-up method. You know, if you don't want to have any risk, you can buy a risk-free investment, which is in valuation is considered a 20-year Treasuries bond. But right now, you're going to get about what 0.04% on something like that.
It's not good.
No. So if you're willing to accept a little bit more risk, maybe you get a money market. What are we there? 1.5%.
I think you got those mixed up. The money market's is a fraction of a percent.
Okay.
And then the Treasury is
Okay,
about
so
1.5.
so you're willing to accept a little bit more risk. So maybe we buy Ford stock, and it's got a dividend right now of 5%.
A
Right?
little over 5% at the current
Right.
price.
So if you want to earn more than 5%, you know, and earn 20 or 30%, you're going to have to own your own business more than likely.
So if I'm listening
But
right
there's no
now,
risk.
I'm thinking, boy, I'd love to buy a business, but what about the people? What do I have to consider? What does the listening audience have to consider if they don't already own a business, or even if they own a business? What does it take to buy a business? I mean,
it's a tough decision. But, I mean, for one, you need to know something about the business. So, you know, if I don't know why a bar came into my mind, but you know,
I think we were talking about a sports bar earlier.
We was talking about a sports bar. But if you don't know anything about owning a sports bar, don't go buy a sports bar. Or if you do, you know, if you got the money but not the knowledge, then maybe you need to bring a partner on that can do the operations, and you got the money. So money, you know, what financial wherewithal do you have to buy a business? You know, can you afford to buy $1 million business? Can you afford, you know, only to buy a company that's maybe worth $100,000? You know, is it bankable? You know, again, talk about banking. You need to build your team, have a banker on your side to walk you through. Is this, you know, do I have the collateral to do a $500,000 loan? A company that I'm buying, does it have assets that could be used for collateral? You know, if it's a service business, there's not much collateral there. So are you going to use your personal collateral, or are you going to do an SBA loan that the SBA guarantees, you know, 80% of that loan? But being a bankable deal is often a trigger for the sale of a company.
okay. Well, I mean, the person who's buying a company, first of all, you have to look at how much money you have to invest, and look at the cash flow needs of the company, and whether the company can provide enough cash flow to make the deal make sense.
Right. Another very important thing to talk about is what's the working capital needs of that company. So this is where, especially first time buyers, usually run into a hiccup. maybe they can scrounge
Guilty.
up the money to pay $500,000 for a company. But what if that company, the cash flow cycle is 90 days, and say you got 5 employees? Well, I don't think those 5 employees are going to wait 90 days to get their first paycheck. So, as an example, with my company, my average accounts receivable was 27 days, and you got to pay for fuel. My average payable was 12 days. So I had 15 days I had to fund. That's the working capital it took to fund that. Well, you got $250,000 a day in sales. That's a big number. So a company that was going to buy my company had to be able to support that cash flow, and an accounts receivable of about $3 million and $1 million worth of inventory. But on a small business end, maybe you own a business such as a restaurant where the customer pays for the product before they walk out the door. So you could have a business that the lower the working capital needs of that business, the easier it is to buy, and it's also one of the things that we cover with the value builder system.
Yeah, so you're going to need money to buy the business, and you need money to run the business, and you're going to have to know where that money's coming from.
Exactly, because what you don't want to see, and sadly it happens, people buy a business, then they don't have the working capital to support the business, and they run out of cash.
And the best way to find all that out is to talk to an expert.
Or read a book. You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
Not cheap 20-second plug, right?
Why not? Why not? All right, so do we have any more phone calls? We're still giving away copies of the book if you want to call 862-9977, or if you want to call and ask any questions. What does it take to buy a business? So after you've identified the business you wanted to acquire, and you didn't use a business broker for all the businesses you bought, right?
No, I did not.
Okay. So what does it take to buy a business? What sort of professional help do you need?
So most people are going to borrow the money to buy the business, so you need to have a banker that's on your side to work you through the process of acquiring the money to buy the business. At the very least, you're going to need an attorney. I would recommend, getting an attorney that knows how to do mergers and acquisitions transactions, to write up the sales agreement. You may want to use a broker to help you through it. I do a lot of intermediary work, what I call intermediary work, so I oftentimes have people come to me that the buyer and seller has been recognized, and I help them through the process because they don't know how to establish a price, they don't know an attorney. But a banker, an attorney, those are 2 key people in the process.
Okay. I just wanted to take a moment again to thank some of the people that made this show possible. Some of my sponsors, Diana Haston. I met her and talked to her about life insurance. She's very knowledgeable, works with over 80 different companies. And I decided to start referring my clients to her just because of her level of knowledge. Another sponsor, Gary Bingaman, A&D, plumbing, heating, and air. I met Gary at a business networking group, and he had a unique billing strategy, I thought, and I thought I'd want to hit. He's going to actually be on the air too here as well pretty soon, and I just thought he really had a lot to offer, really good value for customers, and of course Dr. Miller, met him at a business networking group, and he has an integrated approach to health that's also pretty unique. So I invited him to the show. So you can reach Dr. Miller at 417-889-2225. You can reach Marilee. I didn't talk about Marilee Doherty at Clarity Insurance. And actually, I use her for my home and auto insurance. She called me last year. Actually, I've been using her for several years. But last year, I got a call from her telling me how she can save me money on insurance. And I thought that's pretty unique. I've never had an insurance company that I was already with call me to tell me how I could save money. And she saved me about 20% on my insurance at that time. So that was pretty neat. So I also asked her if she wanted to be on the show. You can reach Marilee at Clarity Insurance at 887-6261. And if you Well, it looks like Jerry is on the phone. We have a phone call. You got your headsets on. I'm going to throw my headsets on and see what Jerry has to say.
Hi, Jerry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering, when you're buying a business, if the owner is willing to finance the sale, but they just want to hang around for a couple of years, do you think that's a good idea?
I've actually purchased 3 different companies where the owner stayed on for a while, and owner financing is, I call it contract for deed or an earn out. That's a great way to buy a business. And oftentimes, especially for a first-time buyer, it's a great way to get over the hurdle of getting the money to actually purchase the company. So, yes, that's
I heard a couple of years, though. Is a couple of years?
That can be tricky. I mean, I had, like I said, 3 companies that I bought that the owners worked for me for several years. They were still working for me when I sold the company. It is not unusual. Probably the norm would be that the owner sticks around for about 90 days. But every situation is different. If you don't have a lot of knowledge about the industry and you need to learn from him, maybe he starts out staying with you full-time for a while, then part-time, then, available for a phone call. It's very interesting. I mean, you can own your business. We recently purchased a company, and I told my partner, it was 2 of us that bought it, I said, the owner of this company, she's going to be ready to depart within 3 months after the sale of the company. And he didn't believe me, and trust me, after 3 months, she was gone. So they break away pretty quick.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks for
You're
calling,
welcome.
Jerry.
No, that's a great way to buy a business, though. I mean, there's a little bit more risk for the seller because what if the buyer doesn't run it right? And,
Right.
then the seller's at risk of not getting their money. But oftentimes, especially in SBA deals, they'll call it a holdback. The seller will hold back 10-20% of the purchase price, and then that kind of counts for your down payment. So
Yeah.
that's a great way to get over the hurdle.
Well, the seller's often very interested in the future success of his business. or her
Because
business.
their legacy.
Yeah, it's their legacy. We need to go to another break right now, and we're going to wrap up with any more questions that we have and a few more things.
$1 million is not.
560 KWTO.
One thing that we could talk
What
about.
time are we done?
50. I'll have to tell you.
Okay. Are we back?
We're back.
Okay, good. I just wanted to let my audience know if they wanted to reach, we gave you the number of the show. The number I didn't give you yet is my phone number. If you wanted to reach me, and again, I'm always looking for interesting people to put on the show. Maybe you're out there saying that, hey, I've got some interesting information to help people make better financial decisions, and you'd like to be on my show. You can reach me at 417-986-4496. You can email me at 417mymoney@gmail.com or contact me through comments on Facebook. Search for Your Money Radio on Facebook and you'll be able to reach me that way. So we only have a few minutes left, and we want to talk more about the Value Builder System. Value Builder System.
If you're listening and you own a business, or you're thinking, even if you're thinking about getting into a business, I would really recommend you go to our website at www.innovativeba.com and click on the Value Builder tab and take the Value Builder questionnaire. It'll only take you about 10 minutes, and it'll really be an eye opener to help you know what helps build value in your company. And if you take that, it'll create a report that'll come to me, and I'll go over it with you and help you understand a little bit more about your company. And if you would want to get involved in the program, that's fine. We can talk about it after that. But
Okay.
It is a great program.
So the questionnaire is free.
Questionnaire is free,
And
and the initial consultation, do a
initial
1-hour
consultation
consultation is free.
It's
So,
free.
So can't go
So
wrong.
this is good for maybe a new business owner that wants to grow the value of their business.
I would recommend any business owner take it through it. I talk to people that have been in business for 25 years, and you start talking to them about recurring revenue or reducing the working capital that it takes to run the business, or is the business owner the hub and spoke of it, is the business owner the hub and everybody comes to him, or does he have people in place that can run the company? Do you have key employees there that will stay once the owner's removed from the company? A lot of things to think about that can make your company more sellable and make it more valuable to a buyer.
Well, a lot of people, they want to buy a business. We talk about some nice return on investment numbers, just as an investment.
Yeah. And really, sadly, one of the things that I see a lot, and I talk about it in the book, I call it the glider path. The owner should have retired 5 years ago, and they lose a key customer, or they don't replace a piece of equipment, and the cash flow of that company is in a downward trend. And that's terrible. That's just... If the cash flow is in a downward trend, why is somebody going to pay you maximum value for the company? If you're a business owner and you want to sell your business, don't take your foot off the gas a couple years before you sell the business. You need to end on a strong note.
I know some businesses think that they have to maximize their revenue right before they sell their business. So they quit advertising, they don't update their equipment, they won't give their employees a raise. How does that affect the value of their business? Is that good?
Those are all questions that should be asked in what's called due diligence. So if you are looking at buying a company, that's where it's very important that you know something about that business, because there's questions you need to ask to make sure you're not behind the fat pig, right? When I was buying other oil companies, I obviously knew that business, so I knew what to look for and I knew the questions to ask. We recently bought a property management company. My partner knew a little bit about it, but we didn't ask the questions. When's the last time somebody got a raise? What's the computer system like? What's the phone conditions the phone system in? So we missed some of those key due diligence questions, and it comes back and bites you.
Yeah.
We had some unexpected expenses right out of the gate that we wasn't planning on.
Right. You could probably deduct that from the value, from the bid of the business.
We would have if we'd have known about it. Yeah.
So
absolutely.
It's not a good idea to let your business run down or to stop supporting it because you want to maximize cash flow. So there's kind of a trade-off there. You want to run your business to the day it's sold, but you want to maximize its value. So what are some of the other things you can do to maximize the value then?
Just have good financial statements. That's probably one of the biggest obstacles that I face.
Accrual financial statements.
Oh, we talked about that at lunch. If you're a business owner and you're doing cash accounting, go talk to your CPA and do accrual accounting. Buy my book and read that section.
What's a CPA? Most businesses are asking, do I really need a CPA?
Seriously,
They're
having
expensive.
strong having financial statements and having them reported on a consistent and timely basis is just so very important. Most business owners have a passion for their business. They understand it intimately, but you're selling to somebody. You're selling a story for somebody to buy when they're buying your business.
Absolutely. So run your business well. Don't take shortcuts before you're going to sell it.
Build your team.
Build your team.
When it goes to selling your business, do you have an attorney that knows M&A transactions? Do you have a financial advisor that's going to help you with your money after you sold the business? Have you considered the tax situation? It's sad if you own a C corp. Talk to your CPA or somebody now. Try and get out of that thing. Get that converted to a subchapter S or something like that. That is devastating on taxes, especially with a C corp. So it's all about building your team. You don't know what you don't know, so seek out smart people to help you with that transaction.
Well, and if you're going to sell a business, you're going to get a big pile of cash, and I've heard a lot of business deals go sour once the business owner realized who gets a big part of that cash. They didn't invite all the parties to the table because they didn't realize, the CPA didn't inform them that how much of that tax is going to go to Uncle Sam right away.
Yes.
I mean, you've got your
and there's ways,
state.
Jerry asked about owner financing. A lot of times, if you're willing to help finance that company, that transition, that's a great way to avoid a lot of taxes that come with getting that check all up front.
Mm-hmm.
And,
so stretch those payments out for a few years.
We sold a company this spring where we did a deferred compensation program for the owners and saved them over $100,000 in taxes. So...
Well, we're just running out of time, and I thank you, Terry, for again making that long drive to be on the
no
show.
problem. I can be reached at terry@innovativeba.com if you want to shoot me any email questions.
Okay.
Be happy to talk to
Want to
anybody.
give an email address?
Terry, Terry, at
That was your
innovative,
email.
innovativeba.boyapple.com.
Okay, and to get the business value builder.
Go to our website, www.innovativeba.com, click on the Value Builder tab, and take the questionnaire.
Okay, and again, thank you all for listening to the show. My name's John Dittrich, and we're just about out of time.